Hey everybody, and welcome back. So, if you've been watching those videos, you saw the first three rosters. I'm now going to introduce you to the RWI, the Raw is War roster. First, obviously, I'm just going to show you the people you can buy on Mattel or from Mattel that were made by Mattel. I've got starting out Kane, and this one actually has the painted proper arm. If you remember, there was a debacle where a few of them were released that didn't have the painting inside the joint area, and it looked really bad. So I was able to find one of those. I have a few other ones still in box that have, I think, the original mess up. Just haven't listed them yet. Haven't decided what to do with them yet. Maybe use them for parts, but again, I don't paint, so I don't know who would really match these really well. So obviously you got Kane, because Raw's War, you're going to go with the timeline of the Attitude Era, pretty much specifically the, I want to say 97 to 2000 look. Maybe 2000. I know Ruthless Aggression started kind of like in 2003, so probably 2002, I guess, technically. So you got Undertaker, of course. He's getting re-released here pretty soon. So if the camera glare, I'm just going to move that over a little bit. Something's kind of glary. Bring it down. There we go. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Well, then you've got Amazon exclusive Jeff Hardy. I know he didn't even look like this when he wrestled in that time frame. I just kind of stuck him over there because I needed a tag team, and at the time, him and Matt Hardy were around that time. So if you're gonna have a Jeff Hardy, you probably should have a Matt Hardy. Now I know it's broken attire. It's gonna be hodgepodge. I'm not trying to make them authentically look like the guys when they looked back then, because back when the Hardys were around in the Attitude Era, they were just basically, jobbers. I mean, they became stars along the way, of course, but they were just in like weird Omega, colorful, just, generic, hey, these are new face guys kind of thing. So, yeah, obviously I used an Austin torso. I switched the arms with I pretty much took just the torso off the Matt Hardy Elite 2-pack that came out when his return, and just put the head on, put the arms on. So, not the hardest thing to put together. This one, I had a few different versions of. I finally found one I liked. I didn't build this one at all, but I still have to give it props to whoever did build it. You can still find some of these sometimes. I think the red and black Backlash attire is out there on eBay sometimes. Dog is photobombing the picture. Sit down. So I think the only thing I'd probably upgrade with this one is if I did get a hold of my customizer, if I did decide to do this later on, maybe getting another one of these and then painting it with his last ECW tire, which I did have an Elite custom of that. I sold that one off when I found this one. So let's see. The problem with this one is, of course, he's fully painted, so definitely want to be careful with that one. More or less, that one's just a posable one, more than a playable one. And then found this one on Macari, and it looks like from underneath, it's just an AJ Styles torso or body. So really, the only customization part of this, and I'm thinking about redoing this one. Tanner, would you stop? Would you stop? Stop. Sorry, dog's trying to push everything off the bed so he can lay down here. Be a brat. It's just AJ Styles, but you see right there that they somehow they found a way to get cloth and put Scotty on it. They use the Mattel head. Sit, just sit. They use the Mattel head, and they decided to just throw it on an AJ Styles torso. It works really well. It looks good. I'm going to put these over here. Trying to put them out of sight so you can't see them, since my dog wants to now all of a sudden decide he needs to get under this certain part of the cover for whatever reason. So, give me 1 second. There's not too many compared to the WCW roster. It's just he's being a brat. There, go. Go under the cover. Go under the cover and go to sleep. Whatever. Okay. So back to the deal. Scotty 2 Hotty. I'm thinking about actually getting another AJ style torso and actually swapping it proper and putting his camouflage yellow pants on better. So there's that one. But perfect for the Attitude Era. This guy didn't really do... I mean, he did stay around for a while afterwards, but that was great for him. This next one here, we've gotten 2 releases of, but they've never had the butterfly joints, and the one that did was the Amazon exclusive. When I got this one, I actually was going to switch the head, and then I didn't realize it had been gunked on or whatever it is. Like, it was like some sort of sticky adhesive. So taking it off, I realized I messed up, and so I had to like literally super glue the head on. But Attitude Era Triple H in gold. So the head does not move. I'm thinking about building my own later Triple H with a bald head. Sans like his last few looks from WrestleManias before he was retired. So it works. Looks great. It's gonna be good in this brand. He's a great foil for Austin. I messed up too. Of course, I have Kurt Angle. Standard Kurt Angle. I know some people have been tweaking the formula a little bit, trying to make him a little bit less bigger and bulkier. Thought about doing that. The only thing, of course, is that if you do it that way, I think you end up losing the tattoo. If you keep the if you take away the top part and whatnot, I don't mind it because I keep in the singlet. I mean, Kurt was jacked. Obviously, there'll be time when they'll make another one in the future, and I'll just switch it out. Or if they make it ECW one, he'll probably go to ECW for a little bit and wrestle in that roster. So nonetheless, there's Kurt. Again, not really spending much time on those because people already talked about those. What they don't talk about, and you can find a couple of these on eBay. I found a few. In fact, I found a red one, then I found an NWO Black. In fact, I'm using the NWO Black version to turn into a Lando Jordan. I'm going to send to my customer. I was already paid for a elite version. He said, "Yeah, just send me the parts, and I'll just fix, swap it up for free because he does great tattoo work." But and then they had the arm articulation, but I just decided that I didn't really care for that one attire he wore. So when I learned how to hodgepodge, I didn't do this. This one is found. So I would have done this one eventually if I realized, except for I don't know do tattoos, so he would have been sent away. But Booker T Ultimate, and you're probably saying to yourself too, you have no drop down hips on these customs. That's okay. I don't need the drop down hips. I personally hate the drop down hips because I literally, unfortunately, got a Chase Razor Ramon figure. Took him out of the package, went to move his leg and snapped the damn thing and completely off because it was pulled down and stuck. So I don't like the drop down hips. So I'm not a fan of them. Will I get figures that have drop down hips? Yeah, I'll buy standard factory built figures and whatnot. Will I maybe alter them? Maybe if I find a good counterpart to it. Like I'm thinking about doing it to AJ Styles. Because mine is starting to drop down every time I even, pose it or want to do anything with it. The leg plops down a little bit. It looks weird. So I'm debating on putting him together with one of his standard elite lower halves. So Booker, really good, clean, really tight joints. And I think, I'm just looking real quick here. Oh, this one. This one actually was fully custom. It had a t-shirt, had a different head sculpt. And I just, I paid probably about upwards of $200 for this one. And it was well worth it to me. This is before I learned how to custom. And even if I did learn how to custom, again, I don't know how to do paint for nothing. But and he's currently the tag champion of the brand. I know it's not the WWF tag belts. It's the World Tag Team title because I already have those belts on the WWF brand. So it's a makeshift, it's a hodgepodge, if you will, brand. Where you've got WWF, Attitude Era belts mixed with the early renditions. I think in 2002 this belt was introduced. They did retire those belts, so if this is only if Billy had been more of a still a tag team with Road Dogg, where Road Dogg was gone by 2001. So really clean, proper. This is how it should look on the lower part of Billy Gunn. Of course, the formula needs to go back and be reworked if they ever do that. Waiting to see how Jazzwares knocks it out of the park. Although looks like they're just putting him in like sweatpants with the decals and calling it a day. He looks like Lex Luger. All right, so the only thing, of course, there's no tattoo on the back, which I don't think he had that little tattoo. He, of course, didn't have his navel tattoo back then. He had no tattoos back in this era. He would later add a tattoo here and there, for sure. So I got that one. I remember talking to the guy, and I was like, you make Road Dogg? And he goes, I made one, but I sold it a long time ago. And that kind of bummed me out. And I was like, well, okay. So I started thinking and scheming, if you will, thinking, how can I do this? And then I remember I had a Road Dogg Elite form. And so I sold off my really solid Elite 26 version a while back. Then I got that one back, realized the head looked kind of cartoony, so I said, you know what, let's throw the Legends head on this, and let's turn it into an Ultimate. So I think I used a Ric Flair torso to match the skin tone up. The arms, of course, are the standard single joint. The nice thing about this one is, it might have been a little bit, he's a little bit looser than I'd like him to be. This is, again, before I learned how to use the they come with spacers, but sometimes the spacers don't work too well, so I end up using like cloth, or plastic like this. I cut pieces out, I stuff them in there. I don't glue them necessarily, but I stuff them in there to where they're a tight fit, and then when they're glued, they stay in place. So you got Road Dogg here. Had to come with I need the t-shirt. I wanted this lower half look no matter what. So it looks great with Billy as the New Age Outlaws. Will we maybe get them one day? I don't know. I'm going to tell. But until then, I'm not going to wait another 10 years to see. I'm just going to build my own if I can. So you got Road Dogg there. This next one I bought from somebody, and I'm sure they're still waiting on their payment. They're going to get their payment, of course. I'm a man of my word. I pay the bills and whatnot. I'm just waiting for my check to clear. But I bought the 2-pack with him in it. He originally was in the WCW roster, then he was in the ECW roster, and then I was like, he didn't look like this in the ECW. And I was going to build one of my own. Someone already built it. I thought, instead of buying all the parts to do it, let's just buy this one for a reasonable price. He gave me a good deal on it. In fact, he's the person I'm doing the Snuka deal with. We're in the Snuka head to try to build Snuka. So, who am I talking about? What? None other than Terry Funk from ECW look. Of course, he passed away. This, of course, figure just came out in the Elite. I call it Elite Plus because the arms plus, But it's basically the new Elite style Legend set. I like this one. It will be good for the ECW roster. Even though it's supposed to be in the ECW roster, I'm actually keeping him in the Raw's War roster because when I build Mankind, I need the tag team. I got the New Age Outlaws, so might as well get Terry Funk. I remember him more or less in this attire a lot more in the Attitude Era of wrestling in WWF than I ever watched ECW. So the only issue is I had to change the boots. The guy who told me that one of the boots was loose as all could be. He did tell me he could send me another pair of boots to fix it. I was like, no, it's okay. I just did this. It works. I don't have the sole, the white insoles down below, but he did wear black at times as well, so it does work. So then I found, because I've massacred so many Stone Cold Steve Austins. So many have been taken apart. I have a whole graveyard of just legs. I even broke down one of the leg parts recently to build a Jerry Lawler. So I saw this one on eBay. It was a little bit, it was pretty well priced too. And I think they used the Hammer Valentine calves, but they really bulked out his calves, which is great because the Austin before had such skinny legs. So they even put the, I want to say it's like the basic WrestleMania looking Stone Cold head. It looks great. It definitely stands out above the generic Mattel version. So his height is a little bit more corrected. He's a little more bulkier. Because Austin, he wasn't super skinny. He wasn't, super jacked, but he also wasn't as skinny as they make him. And I use a lot of these torsos. Like Terry Funk here uses definitely an AJ Styles torso, I think it is. Yeah, AJ Styles torso. But other guys, like Matt Hardy used the Austin torso. I think it was who I used that with. I usually go with this torso for a lot of customs. Like when I do the Basham brothers, when I do Deuce and Domino, they're going to have these torsos. Now, nice thing about Deuce and Domino is I can throw a white t-shirt over it. You wouldn't notice it. With the Bashams, I already put one of the heads on a different Austin. It looked really good. It looked definitely like their, SMN gear, whatever they call that. BMS gear, or BDSM gear. But the point is, Austin, really well done. I didn't make it. I can't take credit for it. It's just in my collection, and he is my current champion, beating Triple H at the first ever pay-per-view show. So, looking through the roster, I decided that I really wanted this individual because I wanted to put a hardcore division that made sense. So here's a hardcore title. It's on the current champion, and this one took a little bit of work. It actually took some glue in areas I usually don't glue. But I built my very own Big Boss Man Ultimate. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, well, you had to obviously paint somewhere, all put together with different parts. Let's begin. So we got the Boss Man security looking decal, which I kept that just because I wanted more a pleasing, toyetic looking Boss Man. So just the black complete, set. So what I did is I took the arms, and then I found a Fiend figure for the shoulder connectors because they're all black. Now, I had to saw into or cut down on the side. You can see there's a little bit of a gappage because they wouldn't fit properly otherwise. And even though I put them in there, they kept popping out. So what I had to do is I had to cut them down a little bit more and apply super glue. So these arms do not swivel. It's unfortunate, but Boss Man was very, he didn't do a lot of athletic maneuvers anyway. He was very, uppercut, jabs. Can do a great Boss Man slam. Now, you're thinking, okay, but Boss Man's kind of bulkier. Not a problem. I ended up using the Undertaker torso. Still not bulky, but the vest, of course, obviously sticks out a little bit because it is bulkier. If it's built, it was built airtight for the bigger guys. I had to slice the side carefully and take it apart, put it back on, and then glue it carefully. You can see you can't even notice it. That's the nice thing about it. I did a really very detailed, very clean job on it. The arms, of course, because they were the newer style Boss Man, not the double joints, but the newer style, I was able to easily switch the hands. I even put some armband tape, or the little black armband stuff to kind of get more of a bulkier glove look. I went with the head that was current on the newer rendition of the Boss Man figures, the updated version that didn't have the new joints but had the WCW and the redone 93 Boss Man look. I wanted the Attitude Era Boss Man look. I didn't use Boss Man legs. They have, if you look, they have toe articulation. I used a Roman Reigns. I took apart Roman's torso. I used the lower half. It lined up perfectly with the Undertaker, so he's not sitting there with that kind of fupa, look to him. So he's perfect right there. This one took, like I said, a lot of creativity. I'm sure someone easily can just grab a Roman Reigns if they wanted to, switch the top half, throw a vest on there, and then paint what they need to paint in certain areas. But this has no paint. I applied no paint to this whatsoever. So, in a way, I'm doing extra steps. If I knew how to do that kind of stuff, it probably would save me a lot more money, a lot more time, but I'm okay with it. And the end result is you got yourself an Attitude Era Big Boss Man. Big Bow Man, right? So, then I got even more creative. I built one first, and he was really dark because the skin tones are really dark on Mr. T and Zeus. And it worked at first. I kept his gloves on. I definitely wanted, to build this person. I'll show you a JBL in the future that I found and whatnot. Someone made for me that I commissioned, basically. And did the same exact thing I would have done. But I was watching the 2001, 2000s, Heat and Jack tapes and whatnot, because I'm always getting ideas for who to build. Guys who didn't get mainstream releases, guys who didn't get as much airtime. and realized, wow, he's way too dark. The figure does not represent him at all. And I thought, but what am I going to do? I can't use Rock. He's too light. But then I remembered Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali has a skin tone that's lighter, and he has a skin tone that matches perfectly with Farouk. This is that new Legends release for Farouk head sculpt. Originally, I found the Elite 38 APA, which was really dark, so that's how I kind of matched that one. Because we were like, well, you can't make Farouk; he's too light. And I found one, and then I remembered Muhammad Ali is perfect for that lighter skin tone. So, of course, I just switched the arms, kept them pretty much as is. Not the hardest thing to do, but definitely works for Farouk. Of course, I didn't do the writing, and that's fine because he did get rid of the writing after the ministry was kind of over. Of course, I could acetone off this and just have it black and whatnot, but I'm not worried about it. It's a great Attitude Era Farouk. No Bradshaw to accompany him because Bradshaw is an entirely different brand. This one I find from time to time on eBay. I didn't put this one together. It makes perfect sense. I don't know, anybody could really do it if you have the patience, or if you just want to go on eBay. He's not even that expensive. He's probably one of the cheaper customs out there, and it's just Ultimate Ken Shamrock. Currently my Intercontinental Champion. And I didn't pick the champions. It was a dice roll. I do it all randomly. So, great, looking figure. Obviously, they just took the lower half. They took a more jacked torso, which Shamrock was jacked. Some people said that if he had been in an era where there wasn't Stone Cold, The Rock, Kane, Undertaker, Mankind, he easily could have been a main eventer. Maybe not like the guy because his mic skills weren't as strong as everybody else, but he easily could have carried the belt once or twice, possibly had flirts with it. Nonetheless, but because you had so many more talented individuals, he just kind of got lost in the shuffle. But I was watching OSW, and they told the people watching that apparently Eric Bischoff actually modeled Goldberg in the beginning like Ken Shamrock to kind of like show WWE, hey, look, this is what you can do with a beast-looking guy, and you guys aren't doing that. But it is what it is. He was the Intercontinental Champion. Had a good run with it. Was a tag champion. Would become a world champion in the NWA era of TNA's. I think he was the inaugural champion there. Currently, he just signed a new merchandising deal with WWE, which really there's not many other titles you can do except for maybe his black world title match against Shawn Michaels from DX or something like that. Because you got the blue, we've had the red in the past. Here's green. I don't see him getting an Ultimate release, so maybe they'll do the black and people can start, mod that one up. But yes, not the hardest thing to do. Standard gloves, but does what it does. It doesn't need to do anything. Again, Shamrock, it'd be nice to see some more mid card guys come out in elite form, so I could then hodgepodge them together and make them into. So speaking of mid card guys, he was released in the Legends line recently, and I was very happy with it, and I started thinking to myself, man, I kind of want him to be an Ultimate. How would I go about doing this? And first thing I did was I took out my Ultimates and I started looking at skin tones that would match him, and lo and behold, the brand new Target exclusive Rock worked really well. And so I thought to myself, okay, so there's one problem down. Of course, now his gut is a little bit bigger than normal, so how am I going to overcome that? And what I did is I basically made a Ultimate D'Lo Brown. Now, the Chase version is very expensive. I was able to get one back when it wasn't super expensive. I remember buying it from eBay, from a UK store that got them in early. I did originally pre-order 2 off Target, and they both got canceled. So what I did is I took the Undertaker singlet, the cloth one, I put it up back here, and then I put the vest over to help bulk it out a little bit so you don't see that again. Otherwise he'd be sticking way in, kind of like how the Junkyard Dog looked. The arms match perfectly, and this is just a great representation of D'Lo Brown. Yeah, it's not, it's still doing his chest protector look, but that's okay because he did have this in package when they built the Legend figure, so he just has permanently the chest protector. And someone's like, well, he's always going to have that. I'm like, that's okay. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna be like, hurt by it. It still works. It's still an Intercontinental European, first ever Eurocontinental champion. So I'm okay with it. So down to the final 3 here of the Raw is War roster, and I'm still trying to build other guys. I'm still always thinking about how to add more people. Like, I'm thinking about building a Val Venus to go into this roster. I currently have a custom version of one, but he's in my custom elites only. This next guy here, I was going back and forth on, didn't know if I really wanted to do it or not, because he's not a super cheap figure. Kind of hard to come by. I have one currently still available to sell. I bought this one. It was a wife from the gift, or gift from the wife, excuse me. And cost me about $57 to buy it on eBay. So I did have one to toy around with. So if if it doesn't work out, at least I have a spare one and I can just sell the parts, I guess. But lo and behold, it worked really well. First time using acetone myself. I'm going to still hit it one more time and get rid of this little bit of smudge mark right here. Someone told me that's how that works. I don't use acetone, I use nail polish remover that has acetone in it, I guess. Just a lighter version. But, the Iceman, Dean Malenko. Now, of course, I could I could get rid of the 1000. I keep it, it's fine. I know he didn't have it in WWF really, but I don't really care. Because if I want to switch him to WCW, I can do that. Because he did wear this, also in WCW as well. What's interesting too is this one came with the WWE Cruiserweight title, because they didn't have the rights to the WWE Cruiserweight title until the Rey Mysterio came out. So I can always switch him back and forth if need be. Right now he currently resides over in this brand with the light heavyweight title, which is not here yet. It's being commissioned. I'm hoping to hear any day now that my order's done. But I bought like 25 belts, so the guy's probably going to build all of them and send them all in one run, which is fine. I trust him. I trust these guys have good references. Swap the arms. Of course, it's AJ Styles torso, and it looks so good. He definitely had an upper bulkier body. It matches really well. It's great to compare with the Scotty 2 Hottie. So this next one, if they ever do release him, I definitely would go back and switch the head, because the head is a little bit big, but the only other option I had was the Titantron Live head with a screaming head sculpt, and it looked so cheesy and just did not look good at all. So I decided, if I'm building a hardcore division, I need a hardcore champion. How about Steve Blackman? Use the HBK ref legs. I use the AJ. Was it AJ or Austin torso? This is definitely an Austin torso. I did the Austin torso on him. And then I realized the arms that came with the Austin were a little too tiny, so I actually, you can see a little bit of a gappage there. Let me turn it sideways there, a little bit there. I wanted to bulk his arms up a little bit more, so I actually used the Mean Mark Calloway arms to kind of bulk him up a little bit more. It doesn't make him like massive, it just gives him more of a proportionate. He was pretty jacked in the upper body. The only thing I think we're missing is like, chest hair maybe, but I don't remember him wrestling with chest hair. So it is a great, Steve Blackman rendition right there. Looks good. Not the hardest thing to do. This video's gone long enough. Let's get through this video, shall we? And last one, people say it looks too skinny. I think it's just because the cloth material makes it, because it is an Austin torso. It is a Christian body. I did add the weird boot little combination here to try to give it more of a semblance of what he kind of wore. And who am I talking about? Well, none other than Gangrel. And the airbrush technique is from the original design. It's the Christian brood look that he had. The Gangrel head actually came with, I found one on Macari and bought it separately. This is the separate one. And oh no, this is the one that came with the figure. I bought one from somebody, and then it never arrived. It got lost in the mail, so they sent me a second one. I wasn't too happy with the second one. It didn't look anything like the first one. And then I'd already bought a Gangrel head separate that was just sitting on Macari for like $20. I was originally going to take and send it to my customizer to do something with it. And then I popped one of the heads on the Austin body, and I was like, wow, you know what, that doesn't look too bad. I mean, you can see a little bit of obviously skin differentiation, but then again, if he's a vampire, he's not out in the sun all the time, right? So head paint, hand painted. I didn't paint the head. I can't take credit for that. Velveteen Dream, shirt. I just add some glue to bring it up to cover the body a little bit more, the legs of course, and then I put the knee pads, and then I put the little other smaller knee pads on there to kind of give it like a little bit of a more, he kind of wore this like weird thing, especially as Titantron Live figure came out with that weird like little pieces that if you were not careful, you'd catch your finger in pretty easily. If you were doing like a kick or whatever, and you weren't paying attention, you could actually pinch your finger. So black wrist tape is accurate. I saw a match wrestling where you did have black wrist tape underneath this, so it's just Austin's upper torso, Christian's lower. Added some stuff to kind of bulk it out a little bit, or kind of make it look a little less. Obviously, I could take off the decal, but leave it. I've seen it. He did have some symbols at times. It works. It's good. All right, so like I said, this video's gone long enough. I know I spent a lot of time with these ones, but I spent a lot of work putting those ones together. Val Venus, I'm still looking into making. I'm also going to make a WrestleMania 15 Hardcore Holly. I found the parts to do that. I'm going to put that together here in the near future. I'm just trying to make some Attitude Era guys that don't have any love. If they do get some love, I'll always revisit it, the idea of doing other stuff differently. But for now, that's it for the Raw's War roster. So if you like what you saw, follow it on the Fig Fed. See who becomes champions. Till next time.